Mom got into an accident and is in the hospital. I'm going back home to take care of her for a while.
That's what my husband said before he hung up the phone. I'm the one left standing there stunned. Then I looked at the person next to me. She was just as stunned. Looking at my mother-in-law, Jessica, I could only manage a wry smile. My name is Emma. I'm a 40-year-old working housewife. I've been married to my husband, Tom, for 10 years. We couldn't have children, but that's life. Some things just aren't meant to be. We tried fertility treatments, but even those didn't work, so it must be our fate. Lately, I've been able to accept that it's not so bad just spending time with Tom. However, as I age and feel my energy waning, I find myself wishing for the help of younger people, even if they're not our own children. I'm sure our elderly parents think about this even more than I do. Fortunately, my parents live peacefully with my brother's family, with no mother-in-law issues. So I don't need to take care of them. But it's different for my husband. His father has already passed away, but his mother, Jessica, is still alive and well. Despite being in her 70s, she's happily living alone. For now, there's no talk of her moving in with us, but I live in constant fear of when that might change. The thing is, I'm not very close to Jessica. It's not that we have a bad relationship. We just live 2 hours away by train and have naturally grown distant. When my father-in-law was alive, we used to visit during long holidays. Recently, Jessica would only reach out to Tom, but never ask us to visit.
I'm doing fine on my own.
Tom is busy too, so our visits to his family have drastically decreased. The last time I saw Jessica was 3 years ago, I think. Well, she keeps in touch with Tom, so I guess she's doing okay. If we had kids, we would have visited his family to let them see their grandchildren. But we don't, for better or worse. It was inevitable that we would grow distant. Fortunately, neither Tom nor Jessica seems eager to live together, so my fears are probably unfounded. Still, since feeling my own decline in energy, I've been somewhat concerned. Living alone in your 70s must come with its inconveniences. But if I say, "Is Jessica okay?" to Tom, he'll definitely ask me to go check on her, and I can't bring myself to do that. I haven't seen Jessica in years. Even though we're mother and daughter, we are only in-laws after all. After not seeing her for so many years, it would be incredibly awkward to visit now. Things may be different if Tom were there too, but if it's just me and Jessica, just thinking about it gives me a stomachache. The Jessica I remember wasn't the type to harass her daughter-in-law.
Thank you for marrying my silly old son.
In fact, she was the kind of person to say something like this, completely serious. Tom, sitting next to me at the time, had a strained look on his face. I wondered just how much trouble he must have been as a kid. Even when we visited when her husband was still alive, she never treated me poorly just because I was the daughter-in-law.
The kitchen is a woman's battlefield. I'll handle it, Emma. You just sit.
Jessica would take the lead and do everything herself. In other words, she was saying, "Don't mess with my kitchen," but it was still better than being bossed around. My friends of the same age often complained about being treated poorly by their in-laws. So I hope to maintain our current relationship as much as possible. More importantly though, the bigger issue for me is that I haven't been able to spend quality time with my husband lately. In our 40s, he's taken on more responsibility at work and is busier as a middle manager. But is it really okay to neglect your family for work all the time? If we had kids, they'd forget about a dad who's never home. Just because we don't have kids, does that make it okay? That doesn't mean I can also forget about him, right? That's how little he's home. No, he does come home. But it's always late when he does. He usually eats dinner out and sometimes doesn't come home until after midnight.
We can't hire new people because of the recession, and the older employees are taking early retirement. We're really understaffed.
He says with a deep sigh. When he gets home, he goes straight to the shower and then to bed. He's often called in to work on weekends too, so we never have any time together. I'd like to go on a trip, but he always says, I can't take time off when we're so short-staffed. It's basically a sweatshop. But he does get overtime pay, so his income has skyrocketed. Since I also work, we're financially well off. But no amount of money can fill the emptiness. I don't feel like I'm living with my husband when he only comes home to sleep. What does it mean to be married? I often find myself shaking my head at that thought. However, when the overtime and weekend work go on for too long, I start getting suspicious. Tom's company used to be well-staffed and well-run, but now it's a mess. How can they just let this situation continue without doing anything about it? One time, when he came home very late, I called his office, and the CO himself answered.
I'm so sorry for the inconvenience to your family.
He apologized, so now I'm reluctant to call and check.
Don't call the company too often.
Tom told me, so if I call and he's just working late, he'll definitely get mad at me. What's more important, work or me? As if I'd ask him something like that. But is it too much to ask for just a little more time together? Watching him leave for another weekend shift, I felt frustrated alone in our room. But sulking would only bring bad luck, so I decided to go out. Even without him, I could dress up, go shopping, and enjoy some good food to lift my spirits. I took a bus to a large shopping mall a bit far away. This cake is so delicious. With a bite of the delicious cake, my mood instantly improved. Yes, if he loves his job more than his wife, I should just enjoy myself. I'm spending my own money, so he can't complain. Just as I reached for the menu to order another cake, it happened. Gah! A piece of cake went down my airways, and I let out a weird noise. I took a big breath in surprise. I quickly drank some water, took a deep breath, and opened my eyes again. But the scene was the same as before. Tom. There stood my husband, who was supposed to be at work. He's not in sales, but he might have some outside errands to run. What's strange, though, is the woman holding his hand. Or rather, Tom and an unfamiliar woman were walking arm in arm, which tells me that they are very close. What the hell is he doing? At that moment, the glass I was holding cracked with a sharp sound, and I ended up apologizing profusely to the shop. After that, my husband and the woman disappeared into the crowd, and it happened so quickly that I almost doubted if it was really him. There was no way I could stay in high spirits after that, so I went home early. And now I'm brooding. That was definitely cheating, right? My husband and the woman were leaning close together, laughing happily. I haven't seen him look like that after we got married. Well, that pisses me off. Is it because she's young? Do all men prefer younger women? Or is it about kids? Does he want kids so much that he's turning to younger women? I need to stay calm. Getting angry won't help anything. Stay calm in everything. That's important, even at work. When you're worked up, it's best to distract yourself with unrelated tasks. So I decided to get out the bank book. Come to think of it, I haven't updated it in a while. I've been using cards for deposits and withdrawals, so it's probably quite out of date. Might as well update Tom's bank book too. I also took out the bank book in my husband's name, but it's actually our joint account. We save a fixed amount from our salaries every month. But when our income is low or expenses are high, we don't push it. Even so, we've saved up a decent amount. We were supposed to travel a lot after retirement. I almost teared up. No, there's still hope. Maybe she's just a clingy coworker who's overly affectionate. Tom probably wouldn't mind getting attention from a young woman. Well, it's a slim possibility, but not impossible. But it's no use being depressed without proof. The bank book hasn't been updated in about a year. Tom usually handles the deposits. Please put this in savings, I'd say as I handed him cash. He then deposited it with his card. Since Tom isn't very meticulous, I decided to update both bank books together. And came the next day. What the heck? I couldn't help but shout. That's how shocked I was. What surprised me? The balance of our joint account. Oh no, no way, right? Oh no, is it my eyes? I can't make out the number of zeros. Wait, what is this? The first number is 3, and the number of zeros to its right. Unbelievably, the balance is $30. What kind of nightmare is this? I pinched my cheek, hoping it was a dream, but it just hurt. No, this is real. You've got to be kidding me. We had over $10,000. Where did it all go? The balance a year ago was well over $10,000. But now it has dwindled to $30. What on earth happened? Looking closer, I saw there hadn't been any deposits in the past 8 months. Of course, during those 8 months, I'd still been giving my husband money to deposit for our savings. Not a single cent had been deposited, and instead, money had been steadily withdrawn. When the balance reached $2,030, $2,000 was withdrawn all at once. That was a month ago. No way. I muttered again, hoping it was a mistake, but the harsh reality of the $30 balance was right there. What on earth should I do now? That night, I decided to confront my husband immediately. But that plan fell through. A message from him arrived.
I've got a sudden business trip and will be away for a while. I came home during the day to grab my stuff, so I'm heading out now. I'll be gone for about 3 days, so take care.
Damn, he got away. Whether it was instinct or just a coincidence. Our talk was postponed for a week, leaving me grinding my teeth. I couldn't focus on work in this state. Trying to work would just lead to mistakes and inconvenience others, so I took a week off. I felt bad for the sudden request, but my company kindly approved it. It's great to work for a supportive company. But there was no time to relish in that thought. I couldn't afford to spend my vacation idly. What I need to do now? I need to confirm that my husband is cheating and determine how much of our joint savings has been spent. Cheating. The thought alone made me want to cry. Why? What did I do wrong? I couldn't figure it out no matter how much I thought about it. I needed to hear it from my husband, but I was scared to ask. I also needed to think about what to do next. If he really was cheating, what then? Divorce. That seemed like the likely outcome. But we were just about to start a new chapter in our lives. We had finally accepted not having kids and were looking forward to enjoying life together. Is divorce the right answer? But what else can I do? His heart is already not mine. Staying together would only bring misery. What were these 10 years for? To him, were they just 10 meaningless years? The thought made me sad, and I couldn't hold back the tears. Suddenly, the doorbell rang. I ignored it, assuming it was just a salesperson. But the bell kept ringing. I had more pressing matters, so I wiped my tears and started searching on my computer. Let's see. The best private investigators for infidelity. The bell kept ringing. Ignore it, I told myself, and continued searching. The bell rang again. Ignore it. It rang again. I ignore it again, but it just wouldn't stop ringing. This is so annoying. What kind of product are they selling so persistently? I glared at the monitor, but then my blood ran cold. No way, Jessica? There she was, Jessica, whom I hadn't seen in 3 years. Oh, please have some tea.
No need to trouble yourself.
Of course, I couldn't ignore Jessica, so I invited her in. For some reason, she was silent, so I timidly offered her some tea. Jessica sipped it quietly. And still, silence. Please, say something. Sitting in silence with Jessica after 3 years was incredibly awkward.
Don't be so tense. But then again, it's probably impossible to talk casually with a mother-in-law you haven't seen in years.
I was a bit surprised. Jessica wasn't being sarcastic, she was just expressing her thoughts honestly. Her face looked lonely. The Jessica I remembered was always so lively and strong. Since my father-in-law passed away, it must have been lonely for her these past 3 years. Yet she never asked us to visit, living bravely on her own. Thinking about that made my chest tighten. I tried to say something, but Jessica spoke first.
Actually, there's a class reunion here tonight.
Oh, really?
Yes. I grew up around here, so I just thought I'd drop by to see how you were doing. Sorry for the sudden visit. I wanted to contact my son, but I forgot my phone. I'm getting old,
She said with a laugh, and compared to 3 years ago, Jessica definitely looked older. We had neglected her for such a long time, even though we kept in touch. No amount of phone calls could make up for feelings of loneliness. I'm sorry. Jessica looked flustered at my words.
Oh no, Emma. I'm the one who should apologize for showing up out of the blue. I'm just glad to see you're doing well. I'll be going now.
Oh, are you leaving already?
Yes, with my son not here and you busy. It's best I don't overstay. Oh, today is a weekday, isn't it? Shouldn't you be at work?
Jessica, who was retired, said she forgot it was a weekday. True. I would normally be at work and not at home. Her visit today, on my day off, was either a coincidence or fate.
My son is at work, right?
Tom is on a business trip.
Oh, I see. Wait, what's going on, Emma?
I tried to say it casually, but I couldn't. Thinking about my husband reminded me of the scene with him and the woman yesterday. That's when I completely broke down in tears. Seeing me cry so hard, Jessica looked bewildered but gently patted my back.
What's wrong? Did something happen? I'd be happy to listen.
With such kindness, I couldn't hold back. I felt my carefully held composure crumble, and I burst into loud sobs. I realized that because my brother lived with my parents, I had stopped visiting home. I no longer called my parents. With my husband acting the way he did, I might have always been lonely. Or rather, I only now realized just how lonely I had been. I was lonely. Unable to have children, growing distant from my husband, and now being cheated on. I just now realized that all I wanted was for someone to hear me out. So I told Jessica everything. How I couldn't spend time with my husband. How I saw him with a woman, arm in arm. How money disappeared from our joint account. Jessica listened quietly until I had finished everything. She nodded gently and patted my back as I spoke. By the time I finished, I had calmed down and my tears had stopped.
Emma, would you like some tea?
Yes,
Here you go.
thank you. The tea Jessica handed me was cold, but it tasted good. It's delicious.
Well, I made it. Of course it is.
Actually, I believe I made it.
Well, yes.
I couldn't help but point that out at Jessica's joke, and she smiled gently. I found myself laughing too. As I laughed, I realized it was the first time I had smiled since yesterday.
Anyway, you can't talk things over until Tom gets back, right? So there's no point in wasting time worrying. You've got some time off. So why not have a little fun for a day?
The next day, Jessica took me out. She pulled me along despite my bewilderment.
You know this area better, right? Show me around. Is there a shop with good pastries?
Oh yes, there's one over there. As I wandered through different stores with Jessica, my thoughts of my husband started to fade. Who cares about him?
I'm so happy. I always wanted to go shopping with my daughter.
Jessica seemed genuinely pleased. I knew she was trying to cheer me up, and I appreciated it deeply. Her presence was incredibly soothing. We spent the entire day together, visiting many stores. Despite being 72, Jessica had remarkable energy. She walked more than I did, making me think she had more stamina than me. I was also sleep-deprived from worrying about my husband. Either way, I couldn't keep up with Jessica's energy. We went in and out of various stores, buying things we liked. Sometimes Jessica bought things for me, and sometimes I bought things for her. We had a great time, and the awkwardness of not seeing each other for 3 years melted away, even if we weren't like real mother and daughter. But as the sky darkened, a call came that ruined our good mood. It was my husband. We had just sat on a bench for a break and fell silent.
Can you put it on speaker?
Nodding at Jessica, I answered the call. Hello?
Hey, Emma, it's urgent. Mom's been hit by a car.
What? I instinctively looked at Jessica sitting beside me. She had a blank expression. But my husband, unaware that Jessica was right next to me, continued in a frantic tone.
It happened near her house. A drunk driver hit her. She's not in danger, but she's got a fracture and is having a hard time.
That's awful. If it were true, that is. I thought without saying it.
So, I'm going back home to take care of her for a while.
What? What about work?
I explained the situation to my company, and they said I could work from home for a while. So, after my business trip, I'll go straight to her place.
Should I come too?
No, you've got work, right? She's not bedridden or anything, so it's fine. As her son, I should be the one helping. I don't want to burden you, Emma.
He probably thought he was being a thoughtful husband. Oh, come on, what are you talking about? A thoughtful husband wouldn't cheat or lie about his mom being in an accident.
So, take care of the house. I'll call you when she's better.
He was about to hang up, but added one last thing.
Don't call or text Mom. The doctor said no phone use for a while.
How serious is this injury if she can't use her phone? Of course, he didn't hear any of my thoughts. He didn't want Jessica contacting me and exposing his lie, though it's already exposed. After saying all that, he hung up. Holding the silent phone, I exhaled and looked at Jessica beside me. There was Jessica with an expressionless face. It was scary.
Well, for now.
Jessica raised her head slowly and looked at me. Then she smiled brightly.
Let's have some tea and forget about that call.
Yes. I agreed with a big smile. After that, Jessica stayed at my place instead of going home. We got along so well that it seemed natural. At first, our relationship was a bit reserved, but within a month, it felt almost like we were real mother and daughter. Jessica, what would you like for dinner today?
You're working late today, right? I'll cook.
Thank you. We maintained a comfortable distance and enjoyed our time together. It felt like this had been our routine for a long time. Come to think of it, there used to be someone else living here. Who was it again? I was thinking such silly thoughts. But things changed during dinner that night. Oh, it's Tom.
Oh my, he's still alive.
I couldn't help but chuckle at Jessica's harsh comment, which was not what I'd expect from a mother. Should I answer it?
Go ahead.
Yes. Nodding, I pressed the call button. Hello?
Hey, Emma. It's been a while. How have you been?
I've been fine, and you?
Oh, I'm good. Mom's doing great now.
That's good to hear. Good to hear. I've been seeing her healthy every day.
She still can't overexert herself, so I'm going to stay here a bit longer. But I need to come by and grab some of my stuff.
Really? Now? Of course, I hadn't heard from him in a month. He hadn't asked me to send clothes or personal items to his parents' house. Well, he wasn't really there anyway. But after a month, it seemed a bit late.
There are some things I need for work. It looks like I'll be here longer, so I want to have them with me.
Okay, I'll be waiting.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll be waiting, all right. Jessica and I will be waiting for you. The next day, it was my day off. My husband came back first thing in the morning.
I'm home. Wow, the house feels sort of different.
Well, a month can do that.
Really? It feels a lot different. Hey, did the dishes change?
In the past month, our home had become entirely my and Jessica's living space. There were no traces of my husband left. His room was still there, but I had shoved all his belongings into it, making it a chaotic mess.
Whoa, what's with all this stuff?
It was no wonder he yelled. "These are your belongings. Since you weren't coming back, they were in the way, so I shoved them in here."
In the way? That's harsh.
He muttered and started sorting through the pile from the front. When he cleared the front pile and saw what was at the back,
Huh? Ah,
he let out a perfect scream. "What's wrong? Don't scream like that."
there's someone here. A ghost.
He pointed to the back of the room, terrified. Suddenly, the pile of stuff collapsed.
I'm no ghost.
Ah,
Jessica burst out from behind the pile, and my husband fainted and wet himself. Poor guy. After a while, he woke up and headed straight to the bathroom. After Jessica and I finished cleaning and were having tea, my husband came upstairs and stared at us in shock.
what on earth is going on?
That's my line.
Jessica replied. Glaring at him, my husband turned pale. Jessica continued.
What about me? A car accident. Hospitalized. Unable to get by without your help.
Well, that is.
What do you mean by that?
Yes, I'm sorry.
Don't make me an injured person out of nowhere. And what exactly would you be helping me with? You can't even do housework.
You're right.
Yes, my husband never did any housework. We didn't have kids, so I let it slide. But if Jessica really had been injured, what could he have done? If Jessica's injury had been real, he would have dumped all the responsibility on me. Hey.
What?
Next, I spoke, making my husband look at me with a startled expression. Don't look at me like I'm a ghost. What's this? What did you spend this on? I handed him our joint bank book. The balance of $30 was glaringly obvious.
Huh? Oh, well, this is.
Withdrawals have been made for the past 8 months. The $3,000 I gave you to save, where did it go?
That is.
What happened?
Well,
Speak clearly.
sorry, I spent it all.
On what?
Various things.
Specify what you bought.
Huh?
Specify.
Clothes.
What else?
Accessories.
What else?
Hotel fees.
Go to hell.
I'm sorry.
Why was he so honest about the hotel part? I instinctively threw the heavy dictionary I had on hand at him. Analog books are better than ebooks.
Ouch.
He made a strange noise and collapsed. Such an exaggeration for just getting hit on the jaw. He got up quickly, though. Hotel fees, so you went with a woman, right? If he dared say he was alone, I was ready to throw another dictionary at him. But he stayed silent, his face pale. It seemed he switched to the silent treatment. So I switched to my evidence strategy. If you won't talk, take this. I handed him a thick envelope.
What's this?
A gift for you. I smiled sweetly, and my husband's face lit up. How naive. But as he pulled out the thick stack of papers from the envelope and looked through them, his face turned blue again.
What is this?
It's the results of the investigation into your affair. It didn't even take a month to gather everything. In his hands were the papers. From the envelope fell photos of him with the woman. There are clear photos of you entering the hotel. And there are also photos showing them living together now. What's this about you lying and living with her?
Well, it's just that. I stayed because it was too much trouble to come back every time.
That's called living together.
Really?
Do you want this dictionary to your jaw or your head?
No, please. Yes, I was living with her.
As I glared with the dictionary in hand, he admitted to living with her, almost in tears. When did you start the affair?
Well, it wasn't really an affair, just a close relationship.
What?
Yes, it was an affair. Please don't give me that look.
Since when?
Well, it's not been a year yet.
And all the money went to her?
Yes.
So we're getting a divorce, right?
What?
He finally admitted to the affair. I thought we'd move on to divorce talks, but my husband looked shocked. What do you mean, what?
What? Are we getting a divorce?
Why wouldn't we?
Because we love each other.
Are you dreaming? Is this guy sleep talking? You cheated because you don't love me, right? You're living with her, right?
No, it's just a fling with her. I'm married, and I'd never be serious with someone who'd go for a married man.
I threw the dictionary at him without hesitation. Read it cover to cover and understand the words. Anyway, you're going to return the joint savings you spent and pay alimony. I'll also sue her for knowing you were married.
What? No way. I want to enjoy our retirement together.
I don't.
No, I don't want a divorce.
Divorce. It's a complete mess now. We'll have to discuss this thoroughly with a lawyer later. I wondered if I could actually get a divorce smoothly. Just as I was feeling anxious, a hand was placed on my husband's shoulder. It was Jessica's wrinkled hand.
Tom.
Mom, what are you doing here? We haven't seen each other in 3 years. Why now?
I understand how you feel. You're going to take care of me, right?
Oh, well, that is.
Then you can take care of me as much as you want.
No, Mom, don't pull my collar. I can't breathe. Are you really in your 70s?
What did you say?
I'm sorry, Mom. You're always so strong and youthful.
I'll fix that rotten attitude of yours.
Help, please.
Jessica dragged my husband out. Their voices gradually faded away as they went outside. Once they were gone, I sighed deeply. After that, we discussed everything through a lawyer, and the divorce was finalized. Of course, my husband was at fault, so he had to pay back all the money he spent on his affair and the alimony. My husband, who had squandered our savings, obviously didn't have any money left. I got the house, and he will pay the rest in installments.
I'll make sure he pays every cent.
Jessica said firmly. We also sued his mistress,
I didn't know he was married.
she claimed, but my husband had said she knew, and her whining tone annoyed me, so I didn't let it go. Her parents paid for her, but I didn't care who paid. It had nothing to do with me. Whether my ex-husband and she get married or not, it seems they broke up.
You were just a fling.
My husband bluntly told her. She snapped and slapped him. Jessica told me his face had a perfect handprint on it. I should have left a mark too. But it's too late now. My ex-husband went back to his parents' house, but he's having a tough time under Jessica's strict watch. What happens next, I don't know, as Jessica said this herself.
Once he finishes paying the alimony, I'll kick him out.
His affair was exposed at work, and his honest boss was furious, so he's probably uncomfortable there too. At his age, finding a new job would be tough. But I don't care. As for me, I sold the house I got as alimony and moved into a condo. I'm enjoying my single life. Oh, there's the doorbell. Coming.
Hello, Emma.
Welcome, Jessica. I have some delicious treats for you today.
I brought homemade dishes and whiskey.
Great. Let's drink all night.
I've got a funny story for you.
Jessica and I are still close, like friends. I call her Jessica, but she'll always be a mother to me. My marriage to my ex-husband was a failure, but I gained a wonderful friend, and that's a success.